Hi folks, and welcome as you join us today, somewhere that I've wanted to come to for a long time. So what we're doing, folks, is we're doing the UFO trail here in Rendlesham Forest. I haven't mentioned this previously that I was going to come here. This is probably one of Great Britain's most famous UFO encounters. The military were involved in this, folks, and the UFO was spotted by active military personnel. So if you don't know much about it, I'll give you a little bit of an insight as we're walking around, and we'll explore and see what we can find. So come on folks, let's go. Okay folks, so if you're thinking about doing the UFO trail, you're looking for these purple markers. The walk itself will take you about 1.5 hours, and it's a 3-mile walk through the woods in Rendlesham. And we're almost coming down to the first point where the patrolman spotted the lights in the woods. We now stood at the east gate of RAF Woodbridge Airfield. So just after 2 AM on the morning of 27th December 1980, 2 United States Air Force security police patrolmen saw unusual lights through the trees outside the east gate where we are now. So they were a bit concerned that they were coming from an unfriendly power, as in an opposing force, like Russians, whatever. The patrolmen obtained permission from their on-duty flight chief to leave the airfield and go and investigate. They were joined by 2 further United States Air Force personnel, but one of them was ordered to remain on patrol here at the east gate where we are now. So the other 3 went off into the woods on foot to find out what the lights were. So the US Air Force presence here was part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, which obviously is NATO. It was a pretty cold night when all this went down. It was on 27th December 1980. They actually thought it might have been an aircraft that had come down, and that's why they initially sought permission to go and have a look. And they separated in their search as they came down here. The first sightings from the airbase had been of lights in the sky and a strange glow. As the men entered this part of the forest, radio contact with the airbase began to break down. So one of the search party remained on the edge of the forest to keep contact. The other 2 men continued deep into the forest until they approached the eastern edge. It was here that they reported seeing a shape in the clearing. Right, so somewhere around here we have a geocache in the woods, which we're going to try and find. Hopefully we won't see a UFO or any little green men. It could be anywhere in this wood. Find it. We have the UFO, guys. Whoa. Okay, that meant to happen. I'll switch back in a minute. Take them. There's a shell as well. A seashell by the seashore. Okay, we're in the vicinity of a second geocache. Whoa. Found by Jasmine. Well done, Jazz. Easy one again, easy hanging one. So at the clearing towards the edge of the forest, the patrol were to report that they had spotted a conical object about the size of a car, which is what this is, floating 12 inches above the ground. There was a mist surrounding it, and the craft appeared to be metallic with black markings on one side. They had tried to approach the object, but it was like walking in slow motion. Suddenly, the craft rose rapidly in a flash of light and disappeared up. What had the patrolmen spotted? The search party returned to base to report their observations. They wondered if the craft would return. The next day, Air Force personnel searched the area, and some of the trees around the clearing had broken tops, and they found 3 small triangular depressions on the ground, 1.5 inches deep and 7 inches wide. Radiation levels were taken, and they were 10 times the normal background level. In 1980, the trees around the clearing were tall and mature, rather like the areas you have just walked through. Since first crossing the forest road, the sector immediately in front of you has been replanted since the reported incidents. However, there are clearings within the recent plantings where trees have not regrown. To the east, across the farmland, which we can't see, it's behind there, is the North Sea coast. And behind that is the Orford Lighthouse, which would have been visible. Was it the beam of light from here that the patrolman saw, or could it have been something else? This is vaguely a mock-up of what the patrolmen saw. Yeah, I'm not sure what you think to this, folks. Whether you believe in this sort of stuff or not, but certainly is a very interesting tale, that's for sure. It's a story I've read about many times, and it does fascinate me. Having had a strange experience myself years ago when I was walking in the woods, yeah, it does make me wonder if there are things out there. I do believe there is something. Can't be the only ones. But yeah, who knows. So, the next night, the United States Air Force personnel were better prepared in case the craft came back and returned. They were ready to deploy with Geiger counters, arc lighting and recording equipment. The first reported sighting that night over the open field, which is over here, there's an open field. So if I show you that, I'll try to anyway. Try to show you the open field. So that's the open field. A pillar of yellowish mist, which then seemed to transform itself into a huge eye with a dark centre, which came from the woods. Just that basically, I can try and show you. Over there in that direction. It seemed to transform itself into this huge eye. The craft was then reported to have moved through the forest, through here. If we go back, the UFO was seen to move through the woods here, through the wood line, so in the distance over there, and it moved in this direction. And it had pulsating lights, red on the top with blue lights underneath. The patrolman pursued it and reported that it transformed into a pyramid shape 30 foot across and 20 foot high. They chased it, and after about an hour the craft shot skywards up into the air. Elliptical pieces detached themselves from it, which lingered in the sky for an hour. The craft then disappeared. It's starting to turn a bit wet, but the wind has died down, thankfully. So we'll keep on walking to the last area, which I can talk about while we're here in the wood, I'll tell you about what happened to me and my little experience. So I was walking my parents' dog, which I did every day on the same route through the woods in Sherwood Forest, and basically through a tree line similar to this, there was what best described a light in the sky, and from that light, which was blue and pulsating, was lights that was dropping. So it was above the tree line, and the lights were dropping down towards the ground. So at first, when I saw them, they were in the distance, far tree line distance. I thought there were flares coming down to the ground, because that's what it looked like, high above the tree line, this pulsating blue light. And what looked like red, green, blue, 3 or 4 different colours, and they were dropping to the floor, and they had a bit of a tail behind them, like flares. But this is where it got strange. From the bottom, they then were going back up, and they went back to what the light was. So they went down, and then they went back up, and they did this about 4 or 5 times, going down, then they'd go all the way back up to the pulsating blue light. It was like a light blue, and then all of a sudden it shot up into the air. To this day, I don't know what it was, but what caught my eye was, as I was walking, and it was getting quite late in the walk, quite late in the day. I'd been to work. It was quite late. Then I decided to take this walk into the woods with the dog, which is what I did every day, because my house backed onto the woods. So, well, not backed on, but my house was really quite close to the woods. So yeah, the whole experience was strange. To this day, I don't know what it was. It was just unexplained. So yeah, I've always had a bit of a fascination since that experience. The initial search party reported hearing women screaming. Who were these women, and where were they? They also reported the animals in the nearby paddock were frenzied. Something had disturbed them. One of the patrolmen that was involved in the search on the second night was to report that he was unable to move when he first came upon the spacecraft or craft. He said, "I could not move. It was dreamlike. I felt slower on that night. Everything was half speed, and something was wrong." Yeah, so if you don't know anything about Rendlesham Forest and the UFO story, then go and look it up, folks. Watch the videos online about it, and you'll hear the recordings of the actual patrolman, and I do believe there was a few people in higher up positions that were in the voice recordings. The highest person involved with this was Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, and he visited the site himself with several servicemen in the early hours of December 28th, 1980. And they were the ones that took radiation readings and of the triangle depressions in the surrounding area. It was during the investigation that a flashing red light was seen across the field I'd mentioned earlier. According to Holt's memo, 3 star-like lights were seen in the sky, 2 to the north and 1 to the south, 10 degrees above the horizon. Holt said the brightest of these hovered for 2 to 3 hours and seemed to beam down a beam of light straight to the ground from time to time. Astronomers have explained these starlight lights away basically as bright stars, But as I mentioned, I saw something a bit similar myself, and that was early 90s. So yep, very strange. And I do believe what these men saw on that night, I do believe they saw what they say they saw. There's no reason to disbelieve that, but people have different opinions on what they think they actually spotted. If you fancy staying at a campsite, because there's one here at Rendlesham, if you fancy it, it's not open at the moment, as you can see. It's shut. Don't know when it actually opens. If it's open at all, guys, because looking at that fence over there, it looks like it's not open anymore, which would be a shame. I could be proven wrong, folks. Might be just the fence panels come down. Let's check out the campsite. So it's forest camping at Tangham campsite. Oh, it's close to winter. It's got conservation ponds here somewhere. There's a little map showing you the Rendlesham Forest area and things that's in the area. But yeah, forest camping is closed for the winter, so it must open later in the year. All 4 fence panels smashed down. Don't go in there, keep off. Yeah, come on then. Shower block. Yeah, strange it's not. They must put these tables out in summer, but I mean they look in the right state, these tables do. Maybe they'll come and tidy it up ready for season starting. It is a forest campsite, so I'm guessing you don't need a lot to get it ready for the season. So yeah folks, that concludes this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the walk around and doing the story of Rendlesham Forest. So if you get the chance and you're in the area, come and visit. It's well worth a walk around. I would also highly recommend that you check out Sutton Hoo, which is not far away from here, which is the National Trust site where the Anglo-Saxon burial ground is. Also worth a visit, and only 6 miles away from Rendlesham Forest. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Please remember, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, and we're back again with another video next week. So thank you, bye.